Every year comes with a set of indie darlings, and this game is absolutely one of them. If you're not immediately gripped by the psychedelic sci-fi fungus aesthetic, then what might get you are the snappy combat animations and even some actual unique Metroidvania mechanics, which is basically unheard of these days. This game isn't trying to be Hollow Knight or Dark Souls or anything like that. It has its own gameplay loop that will have you second guessing yourself throughout the game's 15-ish hour runtime. I want to keep this as spoiler-free as possible because a lot of what makes this game great, like any Metroidvania, is exploring it for yourself. And you can still download a demo on Steam to try it for yourself. But while you wait for that to download, let me try to break it down for you. I didn't realize how much I needed psychedelic sci-fi in my life. The vibrant colors contrasted by the pure black foreground create this incredibly unique environment design without being completely lost. It's still easy to see platforms and traverse the level design. The majority of the background is static, apart from the odd, subtle idle animation or particle effect, so I never found myself losing the character amid the colors. It helps, I think, that her helmet visor is a bright glowing green with a distinct red coat that is often billowing wildly, and the main part of her body is black, which helps it stand out. Of course, your mileage may vary. I could see this kind of color scheme looking garish to some people and bothering you, but I have the attention span of a toddler, so I love it. Enemies are a different story, however. They match the environment's aesthetic and are often laying in wait, nestled against some wall, waiting for you to get close to strike. The majority of these creatures are natural animal-like aliens that are part of the surrounding ecology, so it makes sense that they have adapted to blend in. The game very quickly teaches you to watch closely for any kind of movement. And larger enemies tend to be visually distinct against the backdrops of the areas you find them in, so they can't be easily lost. You awaken on this alien bioship with no weapon or abilities aside from jumping and sliding, but you quickly rectify your defenseless state by plucking a humming energy tanto from a fallen resident with a satisfying cybernetic swoosh. I found the animations and combat options really satisfying. They really match the vibe this game is going for with this futuristic ninja-like character. They're snappy and capable of flowing into one another, and the additional abilities you unlock throughout the game allow you to do some combos beyond simply button mashing without getting overly complex, including a well-timed parry slide and counterattack. The combat feels really good, although I will admit it's lacking a wider array of enemies and bosses. Slain enemies drop food for you, or maybe it'd be more accurate to say that you turn them into food. Using varied attack moves on an enemy will grant you a perfect variety bonus for more nutritious food as opposed to a low healing bloody pulp from an enemy you've spammed attacks against. Being encouraged to mix up your attacks really helps keep the combat interesting and dynamic as you explore your whole arsenal. Food also grants you scaling nutrition values, which you then use to upgrade abilities. You can eat food freely, and using it to heal still gives you experience, so you aren't missing out if you get damaged a lot. Basically, all of your combat skills are in this skill tree, as well as a few traversal, health, and exploration upgrades. You can also gather food from plants. You'll find seeds strewn about the world place and places to plant them, where they immediately grow into different types of flora that drop all the most nutritious food for leveling up and are actually used for platforming, interacting with puzzles and opening new pathways. This is such a cool mechanic and is probably the most unique utility available to us. You literally get to shape the world around you, and many of the abilities you unlock later involve cultivating these plants to your purposes. Some plants do need time to grow though, and you pass time through the cycle mechanic. The whole space station is locked in a psychedelic, dreamlike looping cycle that you need to try and break free from. So we have a time loop to contend with. But this isn't a roguelite where you cycle on death. The cycle happens as you clear objectives, sending you back to the place you started the game in, robbing you of your abilities and skills. I think this is where a lot of people might hesitate, waking up for the second time to find your character wiped clean. I did as I played, but I really implore you to keep with it after this point, because this is where the game really begins to stand out as something amazing. The memories of characters you meet become foggy, but it's clear that they faintly remember past events, and you can find items to lock in abilities over cycles, and the vegetation you plant persists between cycles. You actually find yourself seeking out new cycles to reset seeds and enemies on the map and grow your seedlings. The way that combat, gardening, and the Metroidvania game loop all weave themselves together into this unique spin on the genre feels so fresh, and I found myself engaged with it the whole way through. And that doesn't even include the final mechanic that literally connects it all. This ship is like a womb for Ultros, keeping it dormant in part by all the life on board being disconnected from one another. You remember I said this game is a psychedelic sci-fi game with a fungus theme? At a certain point, you find the base of the this disconnected mycelium, which tethers to you like an ethereal umbilical cord, and you begin reconnecting bionetwork pathways throughout the ship with the plants you garden. This is the most Metroidvania ability I can think of, as you work backwards through the different areas, relinking it all. If you're a fan of the genre, I really think that this is worth your time. It's rare that a game comes along with an interesting aesthetic, fun mechanics, and a new gameplay loop for such a well-established genre. That's not to say it isn't a little rough around the edges sometimes. It's a new indie after all, but even when I felt like I was stuck, I was able to push through and find a new path. Try the demo. See what it's like for yourself, because I think it plays even better than it looks. If you do decide to pick it up, there's a link in the description to Green Man Gaming, which can get you a nice discount for the Steam version. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, but honestly, I don't normally do reviews, but I'll be covering everything Hollow Knight and Hades 2 that we hear this year. And I'm probably making some Baldur's Gate 3 stuff soon, because that game is just so damn good.